Hello everyone at the 2020 International Conference on Men's Issues. Is it ICMI, International Conference on Men's Issues? I believe that's right. I hope I got that right. I went to one 2016. Physically went to it, and that was good fun. Met some good people, watched some good speeches and stuff. It was great. But these days it's different because of the coronavirus. So if you're taking part, you'll be watching a few videos and stuff. And I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but some of these topics can be quite depressing. Like divorce and circumcision and all that. Important topics. But I figure I'd just have a bit of a laugh, right? And talk about how everything, really everything, no matter what it is, always affects women negatively the most, right? It's astonishing, right? I'm going to show you some examples. I'll go through some examples. I won't read the whole article on these things, but I will show you some examples, and of course I will save the best for last. You will never be able to predict this one. You really won't. But I'll leave that for last. So as I'm making this video, I always make videos like this, right? And I spoke to Mike Buchanan, which I should say, by the way, thanks to Elizabeth Hobson and Mike for inviting me to do this. But I spoke to Mike and he said, look, can you not look at the screen like that? Because then the reflection is on my glasses, and I have to apologise. There is nothing I can do about that. I don't know any tricks to stop the screen. I need to look at the screen to read it, and I don't know any little tricks that would stop that from happening. I've tried to tilt the screen different ways, and it doesn't help at all. So maybe they'll invent glasses that don't cause a reflection at some point, and I'll try to get a pair. So apologies up front for that, right? So here we go. Right, I'm going to go through these. Right, and as you can see, the very first one there: 1 in 4 homeless people are women. What would that make the other 3? Probably robots or something. Oh no, it says people. So I don't know, non-binaries maybe. I don't know. So let's go on to some of the ones. The next few ones are all about, as you know, like coronavirus. But this one here I seen on Twitter, and I thought it was quite funny, because actually what's funny about this is a real coincidence is that's my nickname for Michelle Obama. What? I always call her Nelson. What were you thinking? But the point here is that racism is fading away as the years go on, but sexism isn't. So racism is coming to an end. Women most affected. I mean, we're off to a great start here, and there's some quote down here from Nelson Mandela, which probably isn't important. Who cares? The point is that racism, we're still there. It still exists. You can still see it. You can still see it. But sexism is just bold. It's always there and it's in your face. They don't actually mention that Gloria, is that Gloria Allred, or it's one of the Glorias? I'm not quite sure which one it is. They don't mention that Gloria and Hillary are actually bitches. Do you know what I'm saying? Whereas Obama's not exactly a nigger, neither is Martin Luther King. Don't know if anybody really called them that, but whatever. But they are actually bitches. So it's not like sexist, is it, if it's accurate? Men can be bitches as well. But anyway, Nelson, that's my nickname for Michelle Obama. I don't know what you guys were thinking when I said that. That's terrible, terrible stuff. So here we go with the coronavirus ones, right? The pandemic has been brutal on many working mothers. Not parents. Nah. Experts say it may be uniquely unforgiving for mothers in so-called up or out fields where workers face a single high-stakes promotion decision. So in other words, women most affected by the pandemic that has affected the entire world. Okay, Jesus. Unbelievable, man. I mean, it's like, this is the type of thing you shouldn't make it about any demographic apart from humans, you know. That's it, you know. But no, everything has to be about women. They have to be made to feel special, you know. Because if they say, you know, this is brutal on many working parents, a lot of mothers, I'd like to say a minority, I'm not going to, but a lot of mothers, they get upset and say, oh, well, what do you mean parents, you know, it's mothers most of it, so they have to say mothers. The New York Times has to say mothers to make them feel better and make them feel important. Women's Equality Party, you know you're going to get some fairness from them. It says equality in their name. It says equality, therefore they must all be all about equality. You know, just like North Korea's democratic and Antifa are anti-fascists. I mean, that's how names work. You know, you wouldn't call yourself a name and not live up to that name. So we're going to get some equality here. What they're saying, women have been doing childcare, homeschooling, and domestic work. Do you know there's somebody else that does that? Who else does it? Oh, that's right. It's men. Men do it as well. But then they're more likely to be key workers. What does that mean, though? I would say, like a truck driver that delivers food to supermarkets. I'd say that was pretty key, you know, but they don't count them. They don't count them. Women's jobs are at greater risk, and doesn't that show that not really needed? And young women are now overrepresented in hospital admissions with COVID-19. They're not dying more. Men are dying more. That's a fact. But the young women are now overrepresented in hospital admissions. Right. So they're going to the hospital more. It doesn't mean they've got COVID more or dying more. No wonder women are distressed. Nah, that's not why. If none of this happened, they'd still be distressed. So it's just a load of bollocks. But as they've been doing childcare, homeschooling and domestic work, they say it like it's a bad thing. You know, in a relationship between a man and a woman, 90% of cases, I just made that up, it's the woman that wants to have the child. She's the one who says, let's start a family, let's have it. Okay, we'll start a family to shut you up. And then they complain that they do the childcare and that. I mean, that's what you signed up for. What did you expect the kids to raise themselves? They stack this like it's this terrible chore, and they don't look at it like the blessing that it is. Getting to spend time with your child, teaching them, homeschooling them, childcare, raising them, teaching them right from wrong and all that kind of stuff, and making their dinners and all that. These are a pleasure. These are a good thing. But no, for women it's so hard done by. For God's sake. This from the Telegraph. It's just showing you that it's from different, outlets, not just one. Why has there been a notable rise in COVID-19 hospitalisations of women aged between 20 and 40? Well, they do like to exaggerate their symptoms, right? You know that when a woman's got a cold, she says she's got the flu. You know that. We all know that. Ignored. They're only mentioned in every bloody media outlet there is. Ignored. Fucking hell. Politicians never shut up talking about women all the time. Ignored. Undervalued. Maybe you're as valued as you deserve. And underpaid. No, you're not underpaid. You're paid what you're worth. Well before this crisis began. Oh, that is just complete and utter bollocks. Women are ignored, undervalued and underpaid before the crisis began. Come on now. It's just fucking so ridiculous. Especially the ignored part. Especially that. You know, as you can see, everything's about women all the time. Everything. Women's public-facing roles are now creating additional health risks too. It shows a woman being a waitress, but it also shows you 1, 2, 3 women sitting down and a woman over here probably on her way to work. You know, so they're not all servers, are they? Oh, God. Again, women most affected by COVID-19. The thing that affects everybody. Here's another one. A new study found that while almost nobody is spared from the anxiety. Oh, nobody. Oh, hey, we're talking about people here. Right? This is looking good. This is some fairness here. Right, that's good. So nobody is spared from anxiety, worry, and overall emotional fatigue of the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, that's it. Oh, right. Women are almost 3 times as likely as men to report suffering from significant mental health consequences. That doesn't mean they suffer more. It just means they complain about it more. It even says we're all suffering the same, but women are 3 times as likely. Oh, for God's sake. This next one is... oh, this next one's a beauty. Right. From India.com, right? Women's dreams most affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Overall, women's dreams have been more strongly affected by the pandemic than men's. Here's why. Now, when I read that, when I seen that headline, right, my first thought was dreams of, like, you know, career aspirations or something like that, you know. No, literal dreams. They're talking about dreams. When you're sleeping, they're talking about dreams. They're actually talking about dreams. How can they possibly know this? The anxiety, stress and worry brought on by COVID-19 is not only limiting to daytime hours, as it is affecting our dreams as well, particularly among women. New research has revealed... Who's researching this? The pandemic has infused more anxiety and negative emotions into dreams and spurring dreams about the virus itself, according to a study published by the American Psychological Association in the journal Dreaming. Yes, well, you're going to dream about it when it's all they talk about. At the start of the year, it was February pretty much onwards, and I kept showing this to my son. I'd gone to the news website, BBC News website, and every story on the front page was about coronavirus. For months, everything was about coronavirus. So when that happens, and all the news, all they're talking about is coronavirus, all social media is talking about it, then you're bound to dream about it, you know. I mean, if I play a zombie game, I end up dreaming about that zombie game. It's just what happens, you know. But how do you know women are... it's so ridiculous. Overall, women's dreams have been more strongly affected. How the fuck do they know this? By the pandemic than men's, possibly because women are bearing more of the burden of caregiving, job loss and other hardships. Oh, that's right, probably because women are affected the most. I mean, men are dying at a higher rate, but that doesn't matter. Women are caregiving or something. To reach this conclusion, here we go, we'll finding out how they get these results. Researchers went through results of 4 studies from around the world about people's dreams during the pandemic. I wasn't asked. Previous research has suggested that our dreams often reflect what's happening in our waking lives and the other crises, including war. Why would women worry about war? Natural disasters and terrorist attacks have led to an increase in anxious dreams. I have to be honest, right? Maybe I'm just fortunate enough to live in Scotland and I don't need to worry about war and natural disasters and, well, terrorist attacks that much. They don't affect my dreams though, you know. They just don't. I don't worry about them, you know. I'm not sitting here shitting myself thinking, oh no, there's going to be a war or an earthquake. But maybe in some other parts of the world it's possible, but come on now. But even if it is, women most affected. New research found that the same is true of COVID-19. All of these studies support the continuity hypothesis of dreaming, that dreams are consistent with their waking concern. It's all blah blah blah, isn't it? Eventually it just gets to the point. Women's dreams are most affected by the COVID pandemic. I mean, so wait a minute. Hang on a minute here. Wait. I've just realised something. How come these women have got time to dream at all? I mean, they can't have time to sleep. What with all the caregiving and homeschooling that they're doing, right? All those household chores. They can't possibly have time to dream as well, right? Are you telling me that these women are sleeping as well? I don't believe it for a second. Women stay up 24 hours a day. I don't know, because sleep affects women the most or something. What's next? How the pandemic has exacerbated the gender divide in household labour. When he helps, it's almost like the opposite of help. This is written by a man, by the way. But household labour. And it's just going into this story, and all this blah, right, okay, you do all that, a transition from a job, right, boring, who lives in Maryland, they're still trying to find a rhythm, it's all boring, it's all just get to the point where the study found that because of increasing housework and childcare, mothers have reduced their working hours. Well, maybe mothers have reduced their working hours because the father does a harder job and he can't afford to take the time off because he makes the most money. Isn't that possible? No, women are most affected. 4 to 5 times more than fathers. Yes, because the fathers are the ones doing the harder jobs. And concluded that the pandemic has made the gender gap in work hours 20 to 50% worse. That division was manifested in areas like virtual education, where almost half of the men said they do most of the educating, but only 3% of women agreed with that statement. Well, obviously, whenever a man says he does something, you know, women are going to go, no, not really, I do the most. So obviously only 3% are going to agree with that statement. Well, this is a dad here, this guy. Come on, man, eh? They fucking state him. Well, it's a BuzzFeed News. Jake told BuzzFeed News. I think we can stop there, can't we? BuzzFeed News. As the actual pages from BuzzFeed News. I didn't even notice that. But I exacerbated the gender divide in household labour. Do you know, I've never been asked. I have never had anybody come round to my door say, excuse me, who does most of the housework in your house? I mean, they would be told where to go, and I'm pretty sure most people would tell them where to go. This is like nobody's business who does the most housework, but yet they keep talking about it like it's an issue. That's something that's decided between couples. It's nobody's business. The next one, let's see what we've got here. This article provides an assessment of whether unmarried women currently face demographic shortages of marital partners in the US marriage market. One explanation for the declines in marriage is the putative shortage of economically attractive partners. See, because women are going for men with money, and that lowers the pool, you know. There's not enough men with money, women most affected, and it goes on by, there's a few articles like that, but it goes on like that, where men don't have the money to meet the standards of greedy women who are only interested in money from a man. Not his looks, not his personality, not his character, not his achievements. They do not care about any of that. All they care about is, how much money can I take from him in a divorce? And the next one here. Alcohol consumption high among women during pandemic, which doesn't sound so bad. You could look at that as a positive way and say, well, lucky women, eh? But no, it's women most affected again. It's driving some Americans to drink. New data from the RAND Corporation shows alcohol consumption has soared during the shutdown, and the numbers seem to be especially high among women. Yes. Wait a minute, hang on a minute. Are you telling me that these homeschooling, household chore doing women, they've got time to sleep, to have dreams, time to detail these dreams to researchers, and they've got time to drink more than men? I think there's something wrong with this picture. I think the numbers are skewed or something. Do women have like more hours in a day? How come they got all this time to do this crap? You know, telling researchers how much housework they do. Very strange. It was conducted in the spring. The survey found that overall frequency of drinking was up 19%. Perhaps even more troubling, women increased their heavy drinking by 41%. Jesus, 41%. I mean, they're stuck in the house. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're stuck in the house, but they're still doing all the chores, so that it's non-stop. It's totally non-stop. But they've still got, so there's nothing much else to do, so they're going to hit the wine, aren't they? What else have we got here? This is a picture here. I've actually seen this article. I covered this article in an earlier video. It's just maths is hard, right? Mathematics is hard, right? Women work longer hours than men, right? Women now work almost 34 hours a week on average, and men's average work hours fell from 45.5 hours per week to 44.8 hours. So men are doing 44.8 hours a week, women are doing 34 hours a week, and the headline is women work longer hours than men. I told you, mathematics is hard, but the point is, women most affected by doing shorter hours. They do fewer hours and they're more affected because those fewer hours are longer. Or something. Maybe they're doing like... some nerd will correct me here, but maybe they're doing like Mars hours or Jupiter hours or something. Whatever ones that are like really long. Maybe that's how they're counting it, I don't know. And they're counting the men's Earth hours. Ridiculous. Well, here's another one from New York Times. As women, it's not that we don't have role models, but role models like RBG, that's Ruth Bader Ginsburg, come along so very rarely. Well, no, I mean, you had Margaret Thatcher, but you don't count her as a role model. Amy Coney Barrett could be a role model. She's an accomplished woman, but she's not the correct type of woman, so you don't look at her as a role model either. But anyway, for many women and girls, the death of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a deeply personal loss. So, just so we're clear on this, right, in case you didn't get the message, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, a Supreme Court Justice, died, I think it was of old age, right? She's like 87, and women most affected. One woman dies, women most affected. And there's also this stupid assumption that men can't have female role models, which is just silly. But a woman dies, women most affected, right? Okay. Sure. Jesus, man. Why do ladies get more migraines than men? This is the Drew Reports news. Than men, not than men, which would make sense. Maybe Drew Jones is a woman, and when she wrote this, she had a migraine. Why do ladies get more migraines than men? I mean, just to be clear, we're all the way down to headaches. I mean, that's where we are. We're all the way down to headaches. And again, as I said earlier about the cold and the flu, when a woman gets a normal headache, she calls it a migraine. So, are they getting more migraines, or are they just calling normal headaches migraines? I think we know the answer to that. What headaches? We're down to headaches. It's unbelievable. Broke men are hurting American women's marriage prospects. Now, this is from the study earlier that I showed. I should have had them next to each other. That was amateur of me, but I'm sure you'll forgive me. There's a devastating shortage of men who have their act together. In other words, have enough money that a woman can get a good payout in a divorce. According to a new study that may not be so surprising to all the single ladies out there. Imagine it was the other way around, though. Imagine there was an article saying there is not enough attractive women for men. Can you imagine the outrage? Of course, they'd never do that. They'd never say that. Research now suggests that the reason for recent years' decline in the marriage rate could have something to do with the lack of economically attractive male spouses who can bring home the bacon. Do you notice as well that it's never the women's fault? Do you notice that women being single and not being able to find a partner is men's fault? I've mentioned this many times. But when men can't find a partner or can't find a woman, men look in the way and they think, right, what can I change about myself to attract women, right? Whereas when women can't get men, they look out the way and say, why aren't men attracted to me? What's wrong with men? And that's a big problem for women, but they just keep doing it. This is not women's problem, apparently, that they can't attract a man. And see, the thing is as well, right? Men are very simple, not stupid simple, not like, low intelligence. I mean, simple, basic. They're very easy to please. So if you can't get a man, and you're not like Shrek hideous, right? But if you can't get a man, that says a lot about you. I mean, it really does. Men are very easy to please, far easier to please than women are, and yet you can't. I mean, these days with the makeup tactics and tricks, a 4 or a 5 can easily become a 7 or an 8, right? Easily. You see it all the time. And men are attracted to beauty, and all you have to do is be nice and pleasant, and you can't even manage that. That's it. You don't need to make vast amounts of money that men have to make in order to attract a woman. No, you just have to be half decent, attractive wise, make an effort when it comes to your looks. A bit of effort goes a long way. Make a bit of effort, be nice, be pleasant. That's it. I mean, that is it. And you can't even do that. And yet, you shit on men and say men aren't making enough. Oh my God, you've got some nerve, I'll tell you that. Most American women hope to marry, but current shortages of marriageable men with a stable job and a good income. You notice that? Look, men with a stable job and a good income, not men with a good personality, not men with a good character, or not men with a good sense of humour, or anything like that. Not men who are attractive, not men who take care of themselves. No, man with a good job and good income. Okay. And the women call us shallow, by the way, just in case you forgot. Makes this increasingly difficult, says Daniel Lichter. Lichter adds that unless your dream man is an Uber driver, the dearth of what's wrong with an Uber driver? It's a job, isn't it? The dearth of would-be grooms is prominent in the current gig economy of unstable, low-paying service jobs. Unless your dream man is an Uber, say an Uber driver like it's a bad thing, like it's like really the lowest of the low. For God's sake, man, the way they bloody look down on people. But then there's another article, it's very similar to this, from the New York Post again. Women are struggling to find men who make as much money as they do. But if you're making the money, why would you need a man who also makes the money the same as you do? Why does it matter that he doesn't? See, for centuries, men have been marrying down. Women can't even marry equal. It's just, they can't take their turn, right? It's our turn to marry down now, because everything's skewed, and affirmative action means we get better jobs and all that crap, you know. So maybe we should take our turn marrying down for a few generations. No, they can't even do that. They still expect men to do it. Good God. A good man is hard to find, especially in this economy. The country is facing a crisis of broke dudes. Again, no mention of personality, character, or anything like that. None of that matters to these people, to these women, I should say. None of that matters to them. The only thing that matters, are you getting the message yet? The only thing that matters is that you have money. It's the only thing that matters. And they wonder why MGTOW is a thing. Jesus. When you go out there and you've actually got money, and you see that women are only interested in you because you've got money, obviously MGTOW is going to be a thing. Or MGTOW, how do you say it? According to new research from Cornell University, and it's left successful ladies single and disgruntled. Well, that's their problem, because they're not willing to give a guy a chance who has a good character, a good personality. You know, you're not willing to give him a chance because he doesn't have more money than you. And you complain for generations about getting into the workplace. Okay, you're into the workplace. Here's some stupid fucking job for you that we had to make up. You know, like a social commentator or some stupid crap, like a body language expert or some fucking rubbish like that. I was watching a thing on YouTube the other day, and it was just a news clip from years ago. I can't even remember what the story was. It's not important, right? But it was just this like one story, and it took 4 fucking people to tell this very short story. 2 people in the studio, right? They're sitting there, a man and a woman, of course, and then they go blah blah blah. This happened. Let's get this guy over here to come in and talk. This guy then comes in and goes blah 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 and tells the same story, and then they go to the video of the incident, and then there's somebody else talking in the video telling us what happened. It's 4 fucking people to tell one short story, and that's what happens. All these jobs are created that are unnecessary, you know, and then a lot of these women get these jobs, and then they pay well, you know, and they get this money, and then they complain it's not men who are making more than them. They're not happy that they're making a lot. They're unhappy that men aren't making more. It's mind-boggling. In the study published in the Journal of Marriage and Family, sociologists, so there's the problem right away. Why would anybody listen to a sociologist? Everybody is a sociologist, technically. Explored America's declining. This is what I mean, sociologist. A sociologist. That's one of those jobs that just... we have to have sociologists now, because women are in the workplace. We have to have psychologists. Do we have psychiatrists? Yes, but that's serious. That's like an actual job. A psychologist is just anybody. And mostly women, so we'll make that job up as well to get women into the workplace. For fuck's sake, what a joke. Anyway, they explored America's declining marriage rate. They discovered a lack of financially eligible bachelors. But nothing else, just financially. Okay, a lack of financially eligible. Did these bachelors, did they happen to have like, you know, as I keep mentioning, did they have like a good personality? Were they nice? Were they kind? Were they friendly? Are they funny? Did they have any character about them at all? Oh no, because you're only interested in the money. And this kind of stuff, it makes women look really bad, by the way. I mean, it really does. I know they're trying to make men look bad. You know, hey, you're all broke, you're not good enough for women. But it actually makes women look bad. There are shortages of economically attractive men. Not attractive men. Economically attractive men. Lead study author Daniel, Daniel, that's right, it's a guy, the sociologist is a guy, fucking hell, tells the Post, although we like to think marriage is based on love, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? He says, it also is fundamentally an economic transaction. No, it's not, and it shouldn't be seen that way. It's disgusting. And women want partners whom they can call their equals. No, they want somebody that makes more than them so that they can rape them in family court, in divorce court, and then they don't need to work anymore because they've already raped the man who makes more than them and therefore gets half what he had. That's what they want. Let's be honest about it. I'm the only one going to be saying it, right? Lecter, who has been studying marriage for 30 years, says the gig economy and the lack of good jobs have contributed to the dearth of well-to-do dudes. Dudes, really? See, a psychiatrist wouldn't have said dudes. A sociologist would say dudes. A psychiatrist would never have said dudes. So has the fact that women, don't you mean chicks, are outpacing men educationally, upending their age-old dominance of the male breadwinner over the past 5 to 10 years, and they still complain. They still complain. Unbelievable. Look at this, look where we are now. Right? We're all the way down to headaches. We've went even further down, even deeper, even lower than that. For women, running is still an act of defiance. Now we're down to running. Female runners not running for office, like actually running. Female runners have long fought for the recognition and status of male ones. Have they? Never heard of this in my life. Rachel Hewitt asks why running doesn't offer women the freedom it should. I mean, do we really need to? Well, you need a subscription to read the rest anyway, and no. But really, running? We're down to running? How can you get victim status from running? and it's got to be like the cheapest thing to do as well. You don't need gym equipment or anything like that, you know? I've just realised she's running on like a man's face. Isn't that weird? Is that supposed to be symbolic? Does that mean something? She's running on a man's face. Girl power, I suppose. Men have no friends, and women bear the burden. It's amazing, isn't it? You would think this is one of those situations where men suffer the most. Nah. Men have no friends, and women bear the burden. Okay. Toxic masculinity, which isn't a thing, and the persistent idea that feelings are a female thing. No, there's no idea that feelings are a female thing. Only stupid women say that stuff, right? Who wrote it? Melanie Hamlet. Only stupid women like Melanie say this stuff, right? You see, men do have feelings. You know when a man or men risk their lives to save a stranger? That's empathy. There's a lot of feelings there. We just don't go on about them all the time. Women, on the other hand, whatever they're feeling, always have to mention it and usually use their feelings to manipulate others. Men don't do that, but it doesn't mean that men don't have feelings. That's fucking stupid. Has left a generation of straight men. Oh, straight men. She wanted to make sure that she was attacking the group that she was allowed to attack. Had she have said men, that might have made some gay men think, wait a minute, is she attacking us? No, don't worry, gay men. You're not being attacked. You're not allowed to be attacked. Only straight men are. So she had to make sure that everybody knew she was attacking the only group that she's allowed to attack. And I'm sure she'll mention that they're white at some point. A generation of straight men stranded on emotionally stunted island. Unable to forge intimate relationships with other men. It's women who are paying the price. This is like the most feminist thing ever. Unfucking believable. Toxic masculinity right away, so definitely feminism. I had a woman the other day talking about toxic masculinity, right? And I said, what's toxic masculinity? And she said this crap here about the feelings, right? So I says to her, what's toxic femininity? Didn't get an answer. Funny that, isn't it? She's going to go. This is women write articles. They spend the first 5 paragraphs building up to the point, and then eventually they get to the point. You know. But anyway, the point is, men have no friends, and women are most affected by that. You would think as well. Yeah, if you're like a man, right, and you don't have a lot of friends. As soon as you see that, you might actually start to build your hopes up a wee tiny bit. And you go, men have no friends. Oh, an article about men like me. Oh, this could be good. And women most affected. Oh, really? Oh, I thought that was about me. I thought you were going to give me some advice or something. No. It's all about women again. This is from The Guardian. Of course it is. In this recession, low-paid women and those without a degree are being hit hardest in Australia. I mean, a recession affects everybody. No, it affects women the most. So a recession affects women the most as well. It's unbelievable. Women most affected by climate change, says Sarah McDonald. Women most affected by the thing that's been happening for billions of years before we existed. But women are most affected. It's our fault as humans, probably men's fault, but women are most affected by it, even though it's been happening for billions of years. Amazing. Do you know, did you know that you can actually change how hot the planet is if you give the government more money? Did you know that? It's amazing, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing. But there it is. It's just going to talk about climate change and how women are most affected. You get the gist. We don't need to read that one. Steve close that. It says women would be most affected by tip stealing rule. Nearly 80% of the tips that would be stolen by employers would come from female tipped workers. The Department of Labour recently proposed a rule that would make it legal for employers to pocket the tips of their tipped workers as long as they pay their workers the minimum wage. So mostly women do these jobs, therefore mostly women are affected, right? Okay, but hang on. If mostly women are doing these jobs, well, surely there should be enough economically viable men to go around then, right? Wait a minute, isn't this why the wage gap exists? Oh no, we better not talk about that. But anyway, a tip stealing rule, which isn't stealing, but it's definitely out of order. If you get a tip, it should go to you. But it would affect women the most. Women most affected. Rather than just saying this is a problem, they have to say this is a problem for women. They do this all the time, man. It's infuriating. And this is a classic Hillary Clinton one. Women have always been the primary victims of war. Women lose their husbands, their fathers, and their sons in combat. Now, this is an actual quote from her. It's real. She actually said that. And it's sick. It's sick. So the husbands, the fathers, the sons, they're dying. They are dead. And that affects women the most. That is astonishing. It's truly astonishing. And I'm two away. I've got 2 more articles to show you, right? And this is where it gets unbelievable. The first one is unbelievable. And the last one is... I cannot prepare you for this. I just can't. But here's this. Here's the second last one, right? How male circumcision harms women. Oh my God. I mean, how bad does it get? Strapping down 8-day-old baby boys and surgically altering their genitals. And that affects women the most. How bad does feminism have to get, really though? Learn about the hidden negative psychological and sexual effects of circumcision and how these effects harm women in relationships with men. It's just, it is so sick. Marilyn Milos didn't know much about circumcision when she consented to have her 3 sons circumcised. Imagine choosing to get your 3 sons circumcised when you don't know much about circumcision. Imagine that. Imagine you have a daughter and the doctor says, right, we're going to cut the tips of her fingers off, right? And you go, well, I don't know much about that fingertip cutting business. Go ahead. Imagine being that fucking stupid. Good God. She trusted her doctor, who told her it did not hurt and only took a moment. Oh, Jesus. Several years later, she watched a circumcision in nursing school. We students filed into the newborn nursery to find a baby strapped, spread-eagled to a plastic board on a counter top across the room. Yep, they have to strap the baby down. They don't do it to females, though. I keep asking people, right, what health benefits would justify doing that to a girl? Like, the absolute minimal possible circumcision you can do to a girl. The absolute minimal. What is justification for that? What health benefits for it? So, for example, if trimming her flaps when she's 8 days old guaranteed that she would never get cancer, does that justify it? And nobody can ever say yes. Nobody can ever say yes to that. Boys, however, it saves them using soap. Absolutely sick. They just don't give a shit about males at all. Anyway, then the doctor arrived. The silence was broken. Now it goes all the way into detail that I don't want to read. Now she deeply regrets her son's circumcisions and works tirelessly to educate others. She got 3 sons circumcised, but she's the most affected by it. Okay, right, you ready for this last one? You're not. I'll tell you right now, you are not ready for this. You can never be, even though I've showed you all of that, everything affects women the most, I've showed you it all, you're still not going to be prepared for this last one. I have saved the best for last. Here we go. Women suffer from prostate cancer too. It's just so sad. And it's the same as the Hillary Clinton one. It's just almost identical, actually. For every man diagnosed with prostate cancer, there is usually a wife or partner for whom that diagnosis will mean a life changed forever. Can you fucking believe this? Right, this is from Prostate Cancer UK, right? Could you imagine going on to Breast Cancer UK or Cervical Cancer UK, right? And there's an article talking about how men suffer from cervical cancer too. Could you imagine that? Could you fucking imagine that? Of course you can't, because it would never happen. It would never happen. I know, because it happened to me. My husband suffered none of the usual symptoms, blah blah blah. Anyway, men get prostate cancer, but women suffer the most. Women are the most affected by prostate cancer. It is astonishing, truly astonishing. Anyway, I think I went on enough, showed you enough examples. They don't care about men. Everything has to be about them, and it is getting extremely tiring when this keeps happening. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the ICMI, I hope I'm getting that right, International Men's Conference, not International Conference on Men's Issues, ICMI, on Men's Issues, that's the one. And I'd like to thank Elizabeth Hobson for having me on. Hopefully this video gets to you on time, and Mike Buchanan for giving me a shout as well. And thanks for everybody for watching, and I'll leave it there. Bye bye.